Thanks for sending me $5 every month, but there's a fee, so you don't need to keep doing it.
Wait, what? Just $5?
David looked confused, and his wife, Emily, seemed panicked. Wait, I'm sending you $2,000 every month, right? Stop lying, you worthless piece of trash. I had no idea what Emily was talking about, and I just stood there, puzzled. My name is Megan. I lived alone my whole life, and now at 45, I've gotten used to being single. But that doesn't mean I haven't had romantic experiences in the past. I just never found the right person. I've moved on from those old heartbreaks and I'm now fully comfortable living by myself. However, it's not always as perfect as it sounds. You see, I have a bit of a health issue. My leg is weak. I can walk just fine, but I can't stand for long periods or walk long distances, let alone run. Because of this, the jobs I can do are limited. Thankfully, more jobs these days can be done with just a computer, which has been a lifesaver. Still, with the current economy, it's tough. I'm not exactly the most ambitious type, so I can't get a full-time job. Even though I'm only a contractor, at least I have work. My pay isn't great, but it's enough to get by on my own. My motto is, luxury is the enemy, and I live a modest lifestyle. I have a younger brother named David, who is 12 years younger than me. Our parents died in an accident when I was 20 and in college. David was just 8 years old, still in elementary school. Being a student myself, raising a child seemed impossible, and some relatives offered to take David in. But I turned them all down. I couldn't bear to take away more family from David after he just lost our parents. Plus, I was devastated by their loss myself, and I didn't want to lose David too. So, I threw myself into taking care of him. Luckily, we had insurance and the inheritance from our parents, so money was never an issue. Balancing school and raising David was incredibly hard, but his presence was what kept me going. I eventually graduated from college. Though we didn't part ways immediately, I managed to find a contract job, which gave me some financial stability. As David grew older, he became less dependent on me, and a few years later, he graduated from college and became an adult. By that time, the money our parents left was almost gone, but seeing David secure a full-time job was a huge relief for me. He graduated at 22 and I was 34. By then, I had already broken up with my last boyfriend and was settling into a solo life. But I wasn't lonely at all. I felt a strange sense of accomplishment from having raised my brother. David, who was more like a son to me, was finally independent, and I was so proud of him. For a few years, we kept a good relationship while maintaining some distance. Then, 3 years ago, when he was 30, he got married. His wife, Emily, is outgoing and lively, pretty much the opposite of me. Emily became a stay-at-home wife right after they got married. I meet them occasionally, and it makes me happy to see David so content. But there's one thing I feel bad about. I'm still receiving financial support from David. 2 years ago, the economy took a hit, and the company I work for started to struggle. Many contract employees weren't renewed, but I managed to stay on, which felt like a miracle. I couldn't avoid a major pay cut, though. I debated whether to find another job or stick with this one, but I decided to stay. Even though my pay was reduced, I knew it would be hard to find another job that paid the same, especially in this economy. Plus, it's not easy for someone like me without any specialized skills. I regretted not having a backup plan, but I realized that without money, it wouldn't have been possible anyway. I sighed and accepted my situation, figuring that if I cut back even more, I could manage somehow. That's when David offered to help.
Sis, if you need it, I can send you some money.
As his old sister, I felt ashamed to accept his help. I should have declined out of pride, and I tried to at first. But my leg condition got worse, and I needed to pay for hospital visits and physical therapy. The expenses were piling up, and I eventually gave up. I kept apologizing as I accepted David's offer. Yes, I know. I'm a pathetic sister. I'm so sorry. David had only been married for a year, and he was probably thinking about starting a family. Yet, here I was, burdening him with my problems. I'm so sorry, David. David, always the good brother, told me,
Sis, you've done so much for me. Let me repay you, even if just a little.
I was so touched that I cried like a baby. But there was a problem. His wife, Emily. Even though she acted supportive, I knew she wasn't happy about David sending me money. When he wasn't around, she would let her true feelings show. They would visit me occasionally at the old family home. When he was present, everything was pleasant. But as soon as he left the room, the atmosphere would change. The moment David said he's just stepping out for a moment and left the room, I felt a surge of tension. As soon as I heard the door close behind him, Emily would start. Why do I have to come here when there's no one left? She'd stretch her legs out and kick mine under the table. If I tried to move away, she'd scoot closer and do it again, so it was clear she was doing it on purpose. We're broke because of the money someone's sending you. I'm so sorry. I'd apologize and shrink into my seat, feeling terrible. If you really feel bad, why not show some gratitude with a little cash? She'd wave her hand, expecting me to hand over some money. Genuinely feeling guilty, I'd give her a little. She'd take it without a word, and then demand more. I'm hungry. How about you get me something? Sure. What would you like? I want sushi. Order the most expensive one from here. She'd shove a flyer at me. When I saw the prices, my eyes nearly popped out of my head. What's the matter? You do realize how much we're sending you, right? Okay. That's how our conversations would go whenever David wasn't around. Naturally, when the sushi arrived, David would be surprised. Oh, it's because your sister insisted on treating us, she'd say, smiling brightly.
Sis, you really don't need to spend your money on us. I send you that money to help you out, not for you to treat us.
David would look guilty while Emily happily grabbed the sushi. There were other incidents too. One time, I came home exhausted from work, and to my surprise, Emily was inside my house. When I asked how she got in, it turns out that she had taken my brother's house key without permission. He was away on a business trip for a week, so she just decided to come over. And then she lounged around at my place doing absolutely nothing around the house. While I was away, she emptied the refrigerator, and as soon as I got back, she told me to go buy more food. And she didn't contribute a single penny. You're getting money from David, right? I'm hungry, so go make me something. Oh, and buy some alcohol and snacks too. She also signed up for a premium TV channel, so she wanted me to pay for that as well. Hurry up and get moving! She treated me like a servant. No matter how much financial support I was getting, this is just too much. Honestly, I considered talking to my brother about it several times. However, I suspect he doesn't know anything about her behavior. Since their marriage was going well, I didn't want to ruin things by saying something unnecessary. I want my brother to be happy, and if I can tolerate it, everything will smooth out. So I continued to force a smile and deal with it. Then one day, Emily said, You know, I want to cut back on the allowance. It seems my brother's company was struggling due to the economic downturn. Okay, so I'll talk to him and tell him that he can stop sending me money. Oh, that's fine. It's not a huge amount anyway. What? From now on, the allowance will be $5.
$5? That's hardly worth sending, don't you think?
It's just a small gesture from my husband. Just shut up and take it.
Okay, I guess.
I hesitated, but eventually agreed, feeling a bit sorry but also happy about my brother's intentions. It's not about the amount, it's the thought that counts. So I accepted it quietly. After that, my brother seemed so busy that I couldn't reach him at all. Whenever I called for a minor issue, he'd say,
"Sorry, I'm in a meeting."
And we kept missing each other. He always said he didn't need a cell phone to save money and that the landline was enough. So that's what he stuck to. For a year, $5 was deposited every month, and during that time, I didn't have any conversation with my brother. On the other hand, Emily came over frequently. It seemed she took advantage of my brother's frequent overtime and business trips to avoid housework. But why did she come to me? The answer is simple. She wanted to use me for her own convenience. Emily wanted to live a lazy life and made me do all the tasks. She treated the allowance like it was a form of control. Even though I had leg pain and wanted to rest after work, I was forced to go out for heavy shopping and prepare meals, leaving me exhausted. Expenses were piling up and the household budget was getting tighter. Emily, does my brother really have no time? Whenever I asked to talk to him, she'd say, "Oh yeah, he's so busy he hardly comes home. And don't bother him with calls or messages, okay?" It made it even harder to contact him. Then one late night, while I was staying up since I had the next day off, the doorbell suddenly rang. Since the house is old and doesn't have a modern intercom, I could see who was there. The bell kept ringing and I hurried to the door. "Emily? Oh, what's the matter? Can't you let me in? I was drinking nearby and didn't feel like going home. It's easier to just stay here. David has another business trip tomorrow," she said, stumbling in her drunken state, and walked into the house. Without any chance to stop her, she collapsed onto my bed and fell into a deep sleep. The next thing I knew, it was a spectacular case of puking. It was the worst. I was kept busy dealing with Emily until late into the night. The next morning, Emily woke up looking refreshed while I looked terrible after barely getting any sleep. She demanded that I get things ready quickly without showing the slightest consideration for my exhaustion. But it wasn't me who responded to her.
"What are you saying, Emily? After causing so much trouble, don't you have a shred of decency? Stop bothering my sister. Get out of here quickly."
A voice came from behind me. David, what's going on?"
"I came back early from my business trip, but you weren't home. I tried calling, but couldn't get through."
The battery was dead."
"I was worried when I got a call from my sister in the middle of the night. I'm not saying you can't go out drinking, but don't overdo it."
"Stop shouting."
"Wash your face and let's go home."
Emily pouted and looked dissatisfied, but I figured she would leave soon. I quickly spoke to my brother. David was in a rush and I couldn't have a proper conversation. "David, thank you for always sending the allowance."
"Oh, it's nothing. Don't worry about it."
"I really feel bad since your salary has been cut due to the recession." David looked puzzled at my words.
"What's this about?"
I continued, wondering if I said something strange. "Really, thank you. But I think we should stop the allowance for now. It must be hard to make ends meet."
"No, it's fine."
"But $5 a month accumulates fees as well." David even looked more puzzled.
$5?
Just then, Emily interrupted with great energy. $5? That's impossible! What the hell are you saying? I'm transferring $2,000 every month. Are you lying because you've been spending it for fun? Don't act so high and mighty with someone else's money. What's this $2,000 supposed to be? I was confused, not understanding what Emily was talking about. Her face turned red. What do you mean, $2,000? She then suddenly covered my mouth. Be quiet and stay out of this. I was bewildered by her reaction.
What's going on?
David's deep, ominous voice filled the room, surprising Emily and making her shiver. She looked toward David with apprehension. He glared at Emily, who gave a small frightened cry and hastily grabbed her belongings. Well, I'm leaving now.
No, stay here. Sit down.
Yes, sir. Emily, pushed by David's imposing presence, sat down on the floor with her face pale. He crouched in front of her and peered into her face.
First of all, are you properly transferring the allowance I send every month to my sister?
Of course.
$2,000, right?
Yes. Emily, who was speaking with a strained voice, became defensive as David's glare intensified. His intensity made her fall silent. May I? I only receive $5 a month in allowance. My brother is seriously surprised.
$5? Or do you mean $500?
Should I show you the bank book as proof?
No, I don't think you would lie about that.
It wasn't $5 that you were sending me every month?
Earlier, you said the recession was lowering my salary. Actually, my salary has gone up.
I was surprised by this.
Just think about it. With all the overtime and business trips, a salary cut wouldn't make any sense.
I had assumed that his salary had gone down as well, since mine had.
So, what's going on, Emily? I asked you to transfer $2,000 to my sister every month. Why were you sending just $5? What happened to the remaining money? Did you spend it? I gave you more than enough each month for living expenses and pocket money. How did you spend it? You're a housewife and still have plenty of money. Tell me what you spent it on.
Emily didn't answer David's question, so I decided to speak up. Emily, you frequently came to our house, right? David looked surprised, so I decided to spill everything. You usually came at night after work. I don't know what you did during the day, but you always wore brand name clothes and bags. At night, you'd lounge around my house. I even got used to your frequent visits. Emily was always dressed in designer clothes, even when relaxing at home. You always said, since I'm sending the allowance, you should help with things, especially with meals. You demanded expensive ingredients and fine wines. I never received any money. Emily turned red at my words.
Emily, what did you spend the money on?
She was in tears, apologizing. No matter how much David scolded her, she never explained how the money was spent. Sometime later, I received a call from David. Emily was having an affair. David's voice, filled with sadness, revealed that Emily had been cheating while David was busy with work. To make matters worse, her partner was an ex-boyfriend. It turned out she had been cheating on David while still involved with her ex. So, what will you do?
Obviously, I'll get a divorce.
I'm sorry.
Why are you apologizing? It's Emily's fault.
I'm sorry for the trouble caused. It's my fault for not handling things better. Forget the allowance. Focus on your own happiness. I feel like I'm your mother, not just a sister.
Thank you, sis.
David and I had a heartfelt conversation, and I ended the call. But that wasn't the end. A few days later, Emily came to me, accusing me of causing the divorce and demanding compensation. Feeling threatened by her outburst, I immediately reported her to the police. Emily was subsequently banned from approaching me. David hired a lawyer, and the divorce was finalized. He sought compensation from both Emily and her affair partner. To make things worse, the affair partner was also married. It was revealed that both Emily and her ex were just using each other. The affair partner's wife found out, and he was facing divorce too. Emily, after being kicked out, turned to her affair partner, but ended up causing more trouble, involving the police again. I lost track of what happened to her afterward. Her parents covered the compensation, but she was cut off from them as well. It's unclear what happened to Emily afterward. David, who was initially down, gradually regained his spirits with time. By focusing on work, he managed to move on and is now hopeful about his future. As for me, I declined David's allowance and focused even more on my job. Life is tough, but I started studying for a qualification. I believe in lifelong learning, and it's never too late to improve. With my efforts, the way people see me has changed. Recently, my boss praised me for my hard work and hinted at a possible promotion. Additionally, I've met someone special in my personal life. A man I met through work told me I was inspiring and wonderful. Despite being in our 40s, we've developed a nice relationship. I don't know if we'll marry or what the future holds, but I'm glad I didn't give up despite the hardships. I don't believe that every effort will be rewarded, but not giving up is important. Today, I continue to give my best in life.